Hello everybody, it's Left Playing, back with part 2 of our mini-series on the dash systems. Now, today I originally planned to do another video on the engine systems of the dash. But last week I got a comment by Grunox, and he asked me why, not why, how I did the vertical speed indicator. So I decided let's just do a short intermission here and go away from the engines for a while and do this system first. It's going to be a short video. It's a really simple system, but I thought I can't really explain it, in writing, in the comments. So I'm just going to do it here. It's only going to be a few minutes because, as I said, it's a very simple system, but it's also a very useful system because you can not only use it for vertical speed indication, but basically you can use the system to detect any rate of change in a number. So for the vertical speed, we are going to measure the rate of change of the altitude, of course. So if you have a vertical speed of, let's say, 500 blocks per minute, well, that's just 500 blocks difference in altitude. So, and the way you do this is, as I said, really simple. We start with a gauge, an axometer that measures, of course, the altitude. Now, to measure the rate of change in this gauge or in any other number input, we have to do the following. Just add a math block. No, wrong side. We add a math block here. We add a number block. With a number block to the right of this, and we paint this one. We paint the number input white, and we paint this number block black. Now let's connect this input to the number block and both the input and the number block to this math block and set it to subtract. Now what this does is, this of course will measure the altitude and transfer whatever value it's holding to this number block. But it's going to be one tick later. Meaning if we have a change in altitude, so let's say right now we are at, I don't know, 12 blocks altitude, and we go up. While this is measuring 12, let me correct that. While we are here already measuring 13 height, 13 blocks height, the 12 block height was transferred to this number and is now one tick later stored in this number. So we have 13 blocks measurement here and a transferred value of 12 blocks here. So if we subtract this number from this number, of course we get +1. So this would be our vertical speed now. +1 block per tick. Now of course per tick is not really a useful unit of measurement. So we have to scale that up a bit, but we'll do this in a second. Let's first see if it works. This really simple system using only 3 blocks. So let's paint this, and it's going to be a small number because it's of course measuring per tick. So we're going to leave this at the normal color, and then go to the decimal numbers. So 0.1, 0.01, and 0.001. Now let's connect this up and see if it works. And as you see, apparently the lift moves at a speed of 0.162 blocks per tick. How much is that per second? Well, in order to calculate that, we just need a multiplier block to scale up this number, and of course, if there are 40 ticks in a second, we have to multiply it with 40. So for that, we're going to put a memory panel here and give it a value of 40. Right. Let's disconnect this and connect this up. So, in theory, this should now give us the vertical speed in blocks per second. So let's test it out. So now, of course, because we have to scale it up, we have the number scaled up, we have to use a different range of numbers. So now here are the tens, here are the ones, and here are the 0.1, 0.01 values. So let's see what it gives us. Cool. So I conclude, the lift moves at 6.5 blocks per second. Cool. Now all we have to do is set up a display so we can actually see it in the cockpit and not use, the big number blocks, but only a single, the single gauge here. But one problem is the gauge is now pointing to 0. As you know, the range of the gauge is 0 to 100. So in order to get it horizontally, to get it to be horizontally, because of course we want to measure positive and negative rates of climb and descent. So it's useful if we can move both up or down. Of course, this can also move in the further than the 0 position, but that doesn't look very good. So, and that's also the reason why I planted it this way, with the indication to the right, and just turn to the left counterclockwise 90 degrees, so we can have a straight horizontal line, just like the real vertical speed indicator looks. And we've done most of the work. Now all that's left is just add a certain value, and the value of course is going to be 50 because it's halfway between 0 and 100. Just add 50 to this value, and the 0, if this is 0, if we have no vertical speed, this gauge will always display 50. First of all, of course, we have to set it from speed to gauge, and is at the very end of the list. So if you crouch, you cycle backwards, so it goes directly from speed to gauge. Cool. Right, we need one more math block. It's already the right function, and we need one more memory panel. Now let's quickly give this a value of 50. It should already store 40, so this should be 50 now, right? Let's see if it works. Let's leave that here. We don't know. Okay, let's add this number, the vertical speed, to the 50 and connect it to the gauge. Sorry. Right, and now if we move the lift up or down, it displays, of course, it's only 6 blocks per second, and the range is from from plus 50 to minus 50, or minus 50 to plus 50. So of course it's not going to be a huge, a huge travel that this needle does, but it sure does work. And of course you can always use a different scale for your needs. If you need a very sensitive instruments that measures very slow speeds, of course you can scale this up to 80, 100, 200, whatever fits you need. Just play around with it and see what actually gives you a nice travel along all the along the whole scale of the thing. For airplanes, I guess it should be quite fine. I think in the dash I used I didn't use 2 blocks. I just took this 40 block Oh yes, I did use. No, I didn't. Sorry. Let me start over. I used only one block because I took this 50 block and connected it to the multiplier block also. So instead of times 40, so it displays the blocks per second, I just took it times 50. This will lead to a higher, higher deflection of the needle here. And for the climbing performance of this plane, this was enough. If anything, it was a little low. So I think we never went above, this value in the climb. But yeah, I never took the dash vertical really. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, and that's it. That's the whole system. So let's delete everything we don't need. We don't really need this display. It was just for our convenience. And that's it. That's the whole system. And you can use it for all kinds of stuff. You can, I don't know, you can connect the compass here and measure the rate of change of the compass heading. If you want to measure the change in direction. We can do that next time maybe. Because I really want to come back to the system and also explain why it's useful. Because of course you can say, why should I measure the rate of rotation of the compass, of the compass heading, or why should I measure the rate of change in altitude when I have a speed sensor? We can set this to speed, and we can also set this to velocity, which is the speed sensor, but in a certain direction. And the reason for this is that in the plane we're not always horizontal. So, for example, if we put this XO meter here and we set it to velocity, well, of course, now it will measure our vertical velocity, just like this system. But we're not always this level in the plane. Of course, if we're climbing the plane, we'll have a nose up attitude, and then this gauge will not measure the speed in the vertical direction, but the speed in the in this just not a straight direction, in a banked direction, if you will. So don't get me wrong, these gauges are really, really, really useful. But they have their limitations, and to overcome that limitations, we have to get creative. And especially if it's such an easy system, with just a few blocks, you can get a thing that really measures the value you want to measure. Then why not do it? And also, I think in the process, you learn much about how stuff works, and just creative solution solving. And that's what scrap mechanic is about. So yeah, I don't think there's any more to say to this very, very simple system. So I'm just going to end this video here. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, if you have any questions, just hit me up on Steam, on the Discord, or here in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.